Hello everyone and welcome back to more AEW on TEW2020. We are here on the second week of June, right after, well not right after obviously, shortly after our pay-per-view of Double or Nothing. We start off with Dark and BTE, where the Young Bucks, they have their intro, and this time I'm actually putting in a little bit of effort into their intro. Not too much, because it's just they have the addition of complaining about Devitt, saying like, hey, we were still part of the Bullet Club. It's not right for him to say that we made the Bullet Club into a joke. We made the Bullet Club more popular than it ever had been, stuff like that. I can't even fathom to guess what Matt Jackson's hot catchphrase would be. After this, Tully Blanchard and his clients are seen in a gym, all supporting Shawn Spears. They say that Shawn Spears' match against PAC for the TNT title is incredibly important to all of them, but especially for Spears. Since joining AEW, Spears hasn't really done much, so getting this opportunity would be great for him. Of course, Spears ensures that he'll win because he's realized that his recent run of hot form is just proof that he is perfection. Adequate. You'll see a lot of gimmick changes on this. I have just recently seen the note that a good gimmick change can reset bad momentum, and I have some people who have bad momentum, so I'm trying to reset those with the gimmick changes. I'm guessing that adequate isn't good enough. Speaking of the gimmick changes, our next one features the Best Friends. Walking backstage, they hear Scott Steiner yelling at his three people he's a trainer for. Chuck and Trent try to convince Scott they're all working up, that, they're still a work in progress on building their muscles. Yeah, I double said that, oh well. Steiner just yells at Chuck and Trent as well, saying that both of them look fat, not as fat as Willie Mack, and that they can afford to look more like him, Montello, and Hobbs. The Best Friends shrug this off and walk away as Steiner keeps yelling at his training partners. Chuck Taylor, poor. Trent, poor, but very marketable. So unfortunately, none of those gimmicks turned out well. After this, Devon Dudley is teaching tips to his sons once again. He's interrupted by the Gun Club, and now with Colton Gunn. Oh boy. Billy Gunn says that now that both of his sons are here, they can begin rising up the tag ranks, while Devon's sons still sit with no wins and 7 losses on Dark. Yeah, the Dudleys haven't gotten a good shake of things right now. They're 0-7. The only record that's nearly as bad as them is the Cross Brothers with an 0-5 record. Yeah, they're not good. Not doing well, at least. After this, Jeff Cobb defeats Matt Cardona with a tour of the islands. Another gimmick change. Great. This could actually fix the momentum, because he's at cool momentum, I believe. At least he was before this. I don't know if great will be good enough, but hopefully it is. After this, Layla Hirsch defeats Max the Impaler. Then Killer Kelly defeats Harlow O'Hara in a terrible match. After this, Killer Kelly quickly pops up and begins calling backstage for Gail Kim. Kim does arrive, and the two square off for a bit, and Kelly does notice that the hand brace that Gail Kim has, of course, Killer Kelly did stomp on the hand of Gail Kim some weeks prior. Came for the hand once again, but Kim ducks out of the way, delivers a DDT to Killer Kelly before leaving. Probably sometime later on the show, they will confirm a match on Dark next week between Kelly and Kim. After this, Top Flight defeat Michael Nakazawa and Serpentico, aka David Arquette. Andrew Everett then defeats the newly named Frederick Hurst. Then we have the waiting room, where Eddie Kingston is the guest. Britt Baker asks Eddie Kingston about how he, like her, is a role model for people out there, and how he shows this. And he says, sometimes some people just know their way around other people, Britt. I've been out there, I've been working my ass off forever. It's nice to finally get some proper recognition here in AEW. Sure, you're a fine lady or a role model or whatever you want to call yourself, but there's something about having the absolute grit to dig down and do your best to make a name for yourself. You've got your dentistry, Britt, but I've got nothing except for wrestling. People have problems with my ways, then they're welcome to meet my fists. I ain't changing my ways, because that's not the way I do things. I'm not proud of this promo, I will say that. This was a pretty weak promo. Adequate. Oh well. Hey, good boost to charisma. That's nice. After this, FTR defeat the Von Erichs. Then El Hijo del Vikingo defeats Brandon Cutler. And Evil Uno walks out onto the match afterwards, and he says, El Hijo del Vikingo, the luchador that stole the hearts of wrestling fans everywhere, with an amazing match against the TNT champion PAC. I know you've already rejected with joining up with a pair of luchadors, but what about pairing with a future world champion? Yes, I'm recruiting you for the Dark Order. Since Mr. Brody decided to cut away the useless people, we're actually having a vetting process for who gets to join the Dark Order, and we want you, Vikingo. Vikingo, he does head out of the ring, he seems to be contemplating it, but eventually he just shakes his head no and leaves, and Uno's a bit sad about this. So, you actually have another storyline going on Dark. Wow. And then Garza defeats Scorpio Sky. This is not a change that we will do just yet. But that ends up our Dark. Not great. None of the gimmick changes really went well except for the Jeff Cobb one. Unless adequate is good enough to change their momentum, but it probably isn't. But we're going to move on to Dynamite. We start off our show of Dynamite with a bit of a surprise as Team Tully actually picks up the win over Brutality Inc. That said, the first thing I noticed when I pressed record, PAC had an in-ring performance of 93! I think PAC's pretty good. I did keep him strong. I didn't even check to see if he would agree to not do that, because obviously he's not going to. It's still a 93. Okay, PAC. Beating Kana for our best individual rating by 4 points. After the match, Shawn Spears gets a little cocky and he starts to taunt PAC, despite PAC constantly having his number while they were in the ring. PAC looks like he's ready to attack Shawn Spears, but he turns around and to see Orange Cassidy, who is at ringside for this match. He glares down at the lazy wrestler, but he just kind of shakes his head at disappointment. I believe this is still in this canon. They have feuded in the past. Probably tell by the TNT title plus PAC versus the Best Friends. It's probably going to involve the Best Friends at some point. Spears yells that he wants his match against PAC for the TNT title next week. And PAC does agree to that, so we have our main event for next week. After this, Darby Allin is seen skating around backstage, but he's stopped with a whistle from Ace Austin. And Ace says, "Darby Allin, you're definitely quite the hot commodity. Got a lot of eyes on you, including the eyes of one, Chris Jericho. Look, Darby, you flubbed against MJF. We can't deny that. Hell of a show you put out there, though. But it's not gonna be enough. Let's face it, AEW is absolutely flooded with stables. Everyone's got their own team. So if you want to get somewhere in life, you gotta have friends. If you want to get somewhere in this company, you gotta have people backing you. Chris is being nice enough to invite you into our inner circle. Think all about the opportunities you'll get with Chris Jericho, with being brought under the wing of the greatest wrestler of all time like I have." And Darby just kind of glares at Ace Austin before saying, just very simply, it's not my style, and he skates away. Last week, Chris Jericho gave out folders to all of the Inner Circle, and basically told them, hey, we got things planned for you guys, so, do these. We're starting to see those in this week. Very good rating. And also, Ace Austin, he's definitely benefited from this. He's at, I believe he's actually gone up like 30 pop points. But Ace Austin, Darby Allin, Chris Jericho wants Darby in the Inner Circle, and he's sending Ace out to go and do that because Jericho, he's worrying about Jeff Hardy right now. After this real quick match, Kairi Hoja defeats Cynthia Regal with a spear. Then Big Swole comes to the ring after the match. Just from day one, you've been a presence here on Dynamite, Kairi. You've got this go-getter attitude, you've got this fun personality, but you're also someone who can't stay healthy to save your life. You know what? I respect the hell out of you. I mean, you put up a great show against Hikaru in the Shida in the past. You put up a great show at Double or Nothing against against Shida, Kana, and Iwatani. And you know what? I was in the back. I was watching. In catering. You know what? I'm tired of not getting my chances on Dynamite. I'm the third-ranked wrestler for the women's title on this damn show, and I haven't even wrestled a singles match on Dynamite yet. So how's about it, Pirate Princess? Next week, and Kairi does think about it for a moment before she agrees, shaking Big Swole's hand. We have another match booked for next week. 2 more matches than I usually book for the week ahead. Let's see if I actually remember these. I probably will, but I also might not. After this, there's a rapid cut backstage where Chris Statlander is lying on the ground, clutching at her knee. Mendez is standing over here, a smile on her face, and Chris Jericho's baseball bat in her hand. Mendez doesn't make any moves when the medical crew come over, other than a small laugh and walking away, twirling the bat lazily in her hand. There we go. Perfect. AJ Mendez, she had cold momentum, and she was also March's babyface, so switch both of those around. AJ Mendez should be recognizable right now. After this, Maki Ito defeats Patricia Weber with a DDT. Then afterwards, instead of Maki's music playing, Ashley Flair's music plays. Queen of Wrestling walks onto the stage, accompanied by the Queen's Court. She says, "It absolutely surprised me every time that I see you, Maki. You really are special, and not in the good way. Maybe that's why you connect so well with the people who are watching the show. You've got nothing in your head, and no talent. That's why you're popular. I, however, am a queen. I am royalty, yet I don't even get matches. You know what, Ito, I think that's time that changed. You don't deserve to be loved by these idiots. They need to pay respect to me, and if that means respect through fear, through beating up their beloved idol, so be it." After that, maybe even Flair's music starts playing, but Abaddon rushes in from backstage, and she starts to just go ham on the Queen's Court. She beats down all three of the lesser members before Flair manages to beat down Abaddon, but that's enough room for Maki to come up and attack Flair from behind. Maki does drag Abaddon away as they run, and then all of the Queen's Court, Flair included, rush after them out of the arena, presumably. So yeah, Ashley Flair, she is looking for booking on Dynamite. She does have one of the best records in the company right now with an 8-1, maybe 9-1. I don't remember if she wrestled a match last week, and I haven't updated the records since last week, which I'll probably end up doing after I record this. So that's kind of the big thing. I always forget to update the records after I first do them. But yeah, so Maki versus Ashley Flair. Definitely an interesting feud. Following this, we see a video package from Kurt Angle, and he's training his clients. It says 14 and a half years ago, Joe. You know what? You're right. I did beat you. I beat your undefeated streak 14 and a half years ago. I took your reputation. And you know what? I have 4 guys and a girl here who can do the exact same thing. Cobb, Starks, Cage, Joe. All of them are certainly talented powerhouses with a certainly talented man in Taz, but none of them are at the level of my guys. None of them are at the technical wizardry at Zack Sabre Jr. None of them have as good of a wrestling ability as Charles Betts, the chemistry of Dax and Cash, of FTR, the pedigree of being a champion in this company like Dax and Cash. You know what? I get it, Taz. You want to prove you're better than me by bringing in Samoa Joe, but you need to remember that I'm better than Joe, and you know that it's true. It's damn true. Lots of callbacks in this feud. This is a feud very much built on some of the past between Angle, Taz, Joe now included in there. I don't really think there's too much between the members of each stable. There was, I believe, American Alpha and the Revival have faced off a few times, but that really shouldn't play too much into account here. Starks, Cage, Cobb, none of them really were memorable at all in WWE. Maybe there's some stuff with ZSJ and some of those. I don't really expect there to be the case, but still, lots of things in the past. So, last week we did have a few callbacks to the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe feud. Actual quotes from Samoa Joe repeating them 14 and a half years later. And then Kurt Angle, it's true, it's damn true. Admittedly, I probably need to look a little bit more into the Joe Angle Taz feud in real life to see what I can use as callbacks later, because there's a lot of callbacks to this. So, yeah. Follow this, Chris Bay defeats Jonathan Gresham. Just 2 very good workers. But after this, Jake Hager sprints out from the ramp. He shoulder tackles Chris Bay, sending him bouncing against the rope. Hager then eyes up Bay's leg and puts him into an ankle lock. He puts the lock deep in, especially since the leg was worked on during the match just prior with Gresham. Gresham, of course, a very good technical worker. Hager keeps the lock deep in, and Bay is repeatedly tapping out, but eventually officials rush out, they pull Hager off him, and they help Bay out of the arena. We now know what Jake Hager's task is, and that's to beat up Chris Bay. After this, we see a promo video from Shotzi Blackheart. It starts with the clips of Kana on the waiting room about Shotzi. You know, those play, maybe there's even a black and white filter, because, ooh, this happened in the past. And then Shotzi says, you don't need to worry about it. She's just someone who throws her body around. That sounds like something you would say, Kana. This Empress of Wrestling, aren't you? Well, newsflash, it's 2021. Monarchies are out. They need someone to break the establishment. This is a day of change. This is a day and age of constant change, Kana. And I'm the girl for it. You know what? You're kind of a bitch, aren't you? Just someone who's holding a title for ransom because you're talented. You know what? Don't get me wrong. You are talented. But people have overlooked me before. You have held title after title. You have been at the top of the spotlight, while I have been held back and shown nothing. People have overlooked me before. The VIPs ring any bells? You know what? Soon enough, that belt is going to be mine. I'm going to show AEW how a real champion should reign. One thing that I've actually kind of only recently noticed is that most of my champions are heels. It's a lot easier to book heels, in my opinion, just because it's easier to be an asshole than it is to be nice. A lot of our people are better as heels. In terms of our major stars, you know, Pac's a heel, MJF's a heel, Jericho's a heel. I mean, actually, major stars isn't as much. That's pretty even between faces and heels. But, you know, a women's division, it's very top-heavy, and, you know, top-heavy with heels. Also, our mid-card for women is also pretty stacked with baby faces, but, you know, that's still a work in progress. The women's division is very much a work in progress. But, you know what? Shotzi Blackheart, she's looking to change that. She is, you know, she's kind of like Darby. She's that person that, you know, they just never give up. They keep going at it. They keep trying to, you know, fight until you win. Shotzi Blackheart, that's what she wants to do against Kana. After this, Eddie Kingston defeats Kip Sabian. And then after the match, Garza Jr., who is in a suit, gets to the top rope and he delivers a missile dropkick to Eddie Kingston. Penalty 4 gets Kip out of the ring while Vipers gives Garza a steel chair. And Garza does prepare to deliver a chair shot to Kingston's head. And Garza, because of course I have to somehow tie this into their storyline, even though I forgot to advance the storyline, says he'll make Eddie look as ugly as Sting. But then Jon Moxley runs out. Garza, not wanting his suit ruined, heads out of the ring and he follows the Rose Garden as Moxley helps Eddie up. I always like seeing the full crowd number. After this, Renee Paquette is backstage with Jeff Hardy, and she asks him about Chris Jericho's challenge last week. Hardy says Chris definitely isn't wrong in suggesting that he might be the greatest of all time. He's done just about anything anyone can want, but don't think that means that he can just dismiss me as someone just of his generation of wrestling. And I'm not even worthy of being considered in the conversation of best of all time, of best of the generation. You know what? Sure, I haven't had as bright and shiny as a career as you, Chris. I've had my lowest of low moments. Everyone knows that, and I'll never live those down. But you know what? At least I've learned from them. At least I know there were mistakes, and at least I've worked to change them with the help of others. I saw what you did to Statlander and Bay. You know what? You're on, Jericho. Tell me a time and place, and I will take you down, no questions asked. Because I might not be in my prime, but neither are you, Jericho. So yeah. We get a good old veteran fight between two people who are well out of their primes. Although actually I think Jeff Hardy's actually surprisingly young. It's weird to say that. Like, Jericho's 50. I think Jeff Hardy's, like, 43. I want to say. I'm not 100% certain on Hardy's age. He's low 40s, but I always think of him as someone who's upper 40s. Probably because Matt is upper 40s, and also Jeff Hardy seems like he seems like he's older because he keeps throwing himself off of high objects, and also he did a lot of drugs in the past. I mean, it's a blunt way of saying it, but it's true. You see the in-ring return of Kenny Omega as he stinks the place up with Luchasaurus. Because they don't have any chemistry. I feel like I knew that. Yeah, well. After this, Fergal Devitt's music plays, and the Prince of Wrestling casually walks onto the stage. Kenny, he very visibly has his guard up. Devitt says, "I'm sure you already know why I'm here, Omega. You've experienced enough, you have enough experience to know how things go. I rush the ring, I beat you up, I tell the world that you're just another from my list, that I'm just here to go and get revenge for you messing up the Bullet Club." I wouldn't quite say that's how it's gonna happen. See, I know how things would go if I did that. I beat you down for a bit, and then Kota Ibushi would rush in to save his lover. I'm not dumb, Kenny. Probably by this point, he's walking into the ring as he's saying all this. He gets to the ring. By the time that he says, "I'm not dumb, Kenny," he's pretty close to Kenny. He still has his mic. Maybe even Devitt has. I'm imagining he's just wearing. He's not prepped to wrestle. He's wearing, leather jacket, jeans. He has a hand in his pocket, other hand on the mic. He's, very lazily, as he's waiting for Kota, he kind of swings the mic around. This one, it could, this is probably one where it's like, "Oh, Kota missed his cue." No, I'm imagining that, it's just, Devitt waits a little bit, he looks at the entrance, and eventually it's like, yeah, Kota was gonna show up anyways. And he does. And then Kota gets side by side with Kenny. Devitt just says, "See? I need to be a little bit smarter with you, Omega. After all, you're fresh. You've just taken a 3-month break while I've been wrestling that entire time. And now, I'm the talk of wrestling. I'm going to prove that I'm still the best damn wrestler in the world, but I need to be smart about it with you and Kota." And then Devitt, he smiles, he bows mockingly before heading out. The show ends with us zooming in on the Golden Lovers reunited. Very nice show. Also, fun thing about Devitt, he has actually been wrestling quite a bit in WWE before he left. He hadn't wrestled a singles match since, December. So, I feel like that would make sense for Devitt to want to leave if he hasn't wrestled a singles match since December. Or at least won a singles match. I couldn't remember. I was looking at the... this is some behind the curtains thing. I was looking at some of the match history for some of the people that we brought in from WWE. And I noticed a trend. Jeff Hardy, Devitt, and Samoa Joe have all begun losing singles matches to Brendan Vink before they leave. Those are the only singles matches that Brendan Vink has won, and they've been against people who are leaving for AEW. I don't know why. I guess Brendan Vink is just the guy that Vince uses to job people out to. Whatever. Weaker show to this week compared to last week. Only a 70 rating. Dropped down 5 points. If they didn't have terrible chemistry, probably could have gotten a pretty good rating. But, oh well. That's fine. Next week we have 2 confirmed matches already. Again, 2 more than I normally have. But, we'll see how things go. How stories progress in that next episode.